Hello, General Hospital will reveal General Hospital, Drew's brain cancer returns after digging up Oscar, Tracy furious. Suspects a spiritual disturbance in the Quartermaine crypt. In a shocking turn of events on General Hospital, Drew Cain has become the center of an escalating storm of controversy after launching a deeply disturbing and unexpected campaign, interfering with the sacred Quartermaine family crypt. What began as a seemingly noble intention to renovate the family burial grounds and honor the legacy of his ancestors quickly spiraled into something far more reckless, crossing a line that has left Tracy Quartermaine seething with uncontrollable fury. According to insiders close to the Quartermaine family, Tracy issued multiple warnings to Drew, urging him to cease all activity around the crypt. Particularly the resting places of Edward, Lila, and Alan, figures whom Tracy believes to be not only beloved family members but the spiritual pillars of the Quartermaine legacy. To her, disturbing their graves is not just a violation of familial respect, but a dangerous act that risks unsettling the very balance of the household. Yet Drew, stubborn and determined, dismissed all concerns. What ultimately shattered Tracy's patience and pushed her into a rage was the discovery that Drew had gone so far as to secretly dig up the grave of his own son, Oscar Nero Quartermaine. To Tracy, this was not only an act of emotional desperation, but something darker, possibly even a misguided attempt to summon the past, or worse, a spiritual transgression against a soul that had already suffered enough. The question on everyone's mind: why would Drew do such a thing? Was he searching for a memento from Oscar's life? Trying to resolve guilt that has long haunted him? Or, most disturbingly, was he seeking some sort of mystical closure that defies reason? Whatever the motive, the timing of what followed next sent chills through those who knew the story. Just days after disturbing Oscar's grave, Drew suffered a sudden and alarming recurrence of his brain cancer, a disease thought to be in remission. For Tracy, this was no coincidence. A woman who, despite her business-savvy exterior, has long held deep respect for spiritual order and ancestral boundaries, believes Drew has awakened something that should have remained undisturbed. The Quartermaine crypt, she argues, is not merely a resting place for the dead, it is a vessel of powerful emotional and spiritual energy. And Drew's reckless intrusion may have triggered a curse or consequence that science cannot explain. Some even suggest that Drew's medical relapse might be a direct result of tampering with forces beyond his understanding. Tracy is especially convinced that by disturbing Oscar's grave, an emotionally raw and tragic loss, the emotional pain tied to his spirit may have been reactivated, unleashing consequences on the living. As rumors swirl and tension within the Quartermaine household builds to a boiling point, Tracy has made it her mission to put an end to Drew's campaign once and for all. For her, this isn't just about protecting the sanctity of the dead, it's about preventing another tragedy. With Drew's health in crisis, and the family teetering on the edge of another scandal, the stakes have never been higher. Drew may have thought he was confronting the past to make peace with it, but instead, he may have unearthed something far more dangerous. And in Port Charles, where secrets, spirits, and sins often intertwine, some doors should never be opened, especially not beneath the Quartermaine crypt. Tracy, a woman known for her no-nonsense demeanor but also someone who quietly harbors a deep belief in omens and spiritual forces, has grown increasingly unsettled by Drew's recent actions. To the outside world, Tracy may seem grounded in logic and control. But those closest to her know she carries an inherited reverence for the sacred traditions and unspoken rules surrounding the Quartermaine family legacy, especially when it comes to the dead. In her view, certain boundaries are not meant to be crossed, especially when they involve the resting places of the deceased. So when Drew, armed with confidence and a sense of self-righteous purpose, proceeded to interfere with the Quartermaine crypt, Tracy began to suspect that something far more dangerous than simple disrespect had occurred. She fears that Drew may have unknowingly awakened something ancient, spiritual, and deeply unsettled. To Tracy, Drew's sudden and unexplained recurrence of his brain cancer, long thought to be in remission, is no mere medical coincidence. The timing is far too precise. It happened shortly after he had disturbed the grave of his own son, Oscar, and dug into a place that, in Tracy's eyes, had long been protected by a spiritual force older than any of them. She is convinced that his illness is not a medical relapse, but a supernatural consequence, retribution, even, for his reckless defiance of sacred ground. In her heart, she believes there is a curse. Or at the very least a lingering energy, that guards the Quatermain crypt. An invisible veil that separates the living from the dead, the rational from the unknown. By digging into the past, both literally and metaphorically, Drew has broken that veil. And in doing so, Tracy believes, he has crossed a line that should never be crossed. What Drew sees as progress or closure, Tracy sees as arrogance. She believes his pride and unwillingness to heed warnings have led him to disturb forces that do not forgive or forget. To her, Drew has invited chaos into a place meant only for peace, and now, that chaos has begun to seep into his body, his mind, and perhaps soon, into the entire family. The eerie coincidence of Drew's health failing just as he defied the rules of the crypt has left not only Tracy, but others in the Quatermain circle deeply unnerved. Whispers of a family curse have begun to resurface. Rumors once dismissed now echo through the halls of the Quatermain mansion with renewed urgency. Whether it's truly a curse, divine punishment, or the psychological toll of disturbing buried grief, one thing is certain, Tracy believes Drew has triggered something that was never meant to be disturbed. And she fears the worst is yet to come. The story takes an even more chilling turn as disturbing rumors begin to swirl around Tracy Quatermain's increasingly peculiar behavior. Whispers have emerged among fans and residents of Port Charles alike, suggesting that Tracy may be hiding someone, or something, within the sacred walls of the Quatermain family crypt. While the theory initially sounded too far-fetched to take seriously, devoted fans of General Hospital have pointed out a curious and unsettling pattern. Tracy has been visiting the family crypt not once, but up to 3 times a week. For someone who always projected an image of emotional distance and practicality, this level of devotion to the dead seems, at best, unusual, and at worst, downright suspicious. It didn't take long for speculation to run rampant. Why would Tracy, a woman known for her sharp wit and no-nonsense attitude, feel compelled to visit the crypt so frequently? Is she simply mourning her loved ones, or is there a more sinister reason behind those repeated visits? Some theorists have gone so far as to suggest that she may be bringing food, supplies, or even medicine, not to grieve, but to sustain someone who was thought to be long dead. The idea is wild, yes, but not impossible. After all, in a town like Port Charles, where the dead have a habit of returning and secrets fester beneath polished surfaces, the impossible often becomes terrifyingly real. And then came the name that sent a collective shiver down the spine of the fandom, Oscar. Could it really be true? Could Tracy be hiding Oscar Nero Quatermain, Drew's son, presumed dead and buried in the very crypt she visits with such regularity? If so, what would possess her to keep such a heartbreaking, monumental secret, not only from Drew, but from the rest of the Quatermain family and Oscar's grieving mother, Dr. Kim Nero? Some have even begun to wonder whether Oscar ever truly died, or if the story of his death was part of a deeper, more tragic web of deception that only Tracy understands. What adds another layer of discomfort is the imagery itself, a dark, sealed crypt, thought to be a final resting place, now possibly serving as a hidden prison or sanctuary for someone who walks the line between the living and the dead. Could Tracy, in her fear of Drew's instability or obsession, have chosen to keep Oscar hidden from the world, preserving him in isolation to protect him, or to punish Drew? Or, in a more unnerving twist, could Oscar be alive but no longer the boy they once knew, changed by whatever ordeal he's endured? The rumor mill has only accelerated with each new detail. Fans online are dissecting past scenes, looking for signs, anything that could confirm this twisted possibility. And with Drew's recent bizarre behavior, his obsession with the crypt, and now his sudden illness, Some are beginning to believe that his actions may have triggered a chain reaction, uncovering a secret that was meant to stay buried forever. If Oscar is alive, why hasn't he come forward? If he's dead, why does Tracy act like she's still visiting him rather than simply mourning? And if he's neither, trapped in a liminal space between life and death, then what has truly been hidden beneath the marble floors of the Quatermain family tomb? Only time will tell. But one thing is clear, Tracy is hiding something. And the truth, whatever it is, could shatter everything the Quatermains thought they knew, not just about death, but about the cost of keeping secrets buried. Many viewers can't help but ask the most haunting question of all: if Oscar is truly alive, why would Tracy go to such lengths to hide him? What reason could possibly justify keeping a young man presumed dead from not only his father, Drew, but the entire town of Port Charles? For a woman as calculating and fiercely loyal to the Quatermain legacy as Tracy, there must be a reason, and many suspect that it has everything to do with her deep-seated resentment and disappointment in Drew Kane. To understand Tracy's possible motivations, one must look beyond the surface of grief and into the tangled history of betrayal and broken bonds within the Quatermain family. Tracy has never fully trusted Drew, not as a Quatermain, and certainly not as a father. In her eyes, Drew's presence in the family has always been marked by conflict, recklessness, and emotional detachment. She watched as he struggled to claim his place within the family hierarchy, often at odds with those who had built the Quatermain name from the ground up. But perhaps the most unforgivable offense in Tracy's mind is what she perceives as Drew's abandonment of his own son, Oscar. When Oscar was dying, Drew was torn between his military background, his fractured identity, and his shifting loyalties. And while he certainly tried to be there for Oscar during his final days, many, especially Tracy, felt he arrived too late, and gave too little. In her eyes, he failed as a father. And now, years later, that same man dares to disturb Oscar's grave, to dig into the past without reverence or remorse. As if he alone holds the right to dictate what Oscar's memory means. So if Oscar is alive, if, by some miracle or hidden truth, he survived, what would Tracy gain by keeping him in the shadows? The answer may not be about gain, but protection. Perhaps Tracy believes that Drew is still too unstable, too self-absorbed, too dangerous to be reunited with the boy he once failed. Or maybe, in a darker twist, Tracy is using Oscar's hidden existence as a form of punishment, a living secret that Drew can never touch, a constant reminder of what he lost and can never reclaim. There's also the question of Oscar himself. If he is indeed alive, what condition is he in? Has he been traumatized, changed, or physically altered in some way that makes his return complicated or dangerous? Could Tracy be hiding him not just from Drew, but from the world? Because she fears what his reappearance might unleash, not just emotionally, but spiritually. The anger Tracy now directs at Drew is unlike anything she's displayed before. It's more than frustration. It's fury laced with bitterness, guilt, and possibly fear. To some, it seems almost personal, as though she's guarding a secret so monumental, so devastating, that even a single misstep from Drew could bring it all crashing down. Her outrage at Drew's recent actions, especially his decision to exhume Oscar's grave, feels less like a reaction to disrespect and more like a mother lion protecting a cub that no one else knows is still breathing. Could it be that Tracy has appointed herself the sole guardian of a terrible truth? A truth that, if revealed, would not only upend Drew's world, but bring the entire Quatermain family to its knees? The mystery deepens with every new clue, every pointed glance from Tracy, and every obsessive move from Drew. But until the truth comes to light, one question will continue to haunt both the characters and the viewers alike: if Oscar is alive, how far will Tracy go to keep him hidden, and how far will Drew go to uncover the son he never truly knew? Loyal fans of General Hospital are buzzing with speculation as a provocative and chilling theory continues to gain traction online. What if Oscar Nero Quatermain never truly died, and has been alive all along, hidden away by none other than Tracy Quartermain herself. According to this growing narrative, Oscar may have been miraculously saved, either through a last-minute medical intervention, a fake death to protect him, or a deeper conspiracy known only to a select few. And at the heart of this secret, according to fans, stands Tracy, fiercely protective, coldly calculating, and willing to do whatever it takes to keep Oscar far away from the man he once called father. Many believe that Tracy, witnessing the emotional neglect and inner chaos Drew brought into Oscar's short and tragic life, may have decided that keeping father and son apart was not only justifiable, but essential. Perhaps she believed that reintroducing Oscar to Drew would only reopen old wounds, or worse, plunge the young man back into the very cycle of abandonment and disappointment that once defined their relationship. If Oscar truly is alive, fans argue, he may not even recognize Drew as his father anymore, at least not in any meaningful, emotional sense. Instead, Tracy may have taken over as a surrogate guardian, quietly raising or shielding Oscar while rebuilding him from the emotional wreckage left behind by Drew's absence. The storyline, while unconfirmed, has sparked passionate discussion across message boards and social media, with fans expressing just how dramatically powerful it would be if Oscar were to return, not as a wide-eyed teen seeking reconciliation, but as a young man fueled by righteous anger, determined to hold his father accountable in the most public and devastating way possible. One particularly resonant theory making the rounds imagines a powerful scene, Oscar standing before the citizens of Port Charles, publicly denouncing Drew Cain, not just as a failed father, but as a selfish man whose ambition and ego destroyed the very family he claimed to love. The emotional punch of such a moment, father and son now enemies, their bond shattered by time, lies, and silence, would shake the Quartermain family to its core and force Drew to confront the consequences of his past in a way he never imagined. Some fans have even gone further, speculating that Oscar's return might not be the tearful, redemptive reunion Drew expects, but rather a public reckoning, a carefully orchestrated takedown that leaves Drew stripped of his legacy, his pride, and possibly even his role within the Quartermain empire. The dramatic tension of Oscar accusing Drew of betrayal, of abandoning him in life and then desecrating his grave in death, is the kind of twist General Hospital thrives on, a layered, emotional, and gut-wrenching reversal of expectations. And perhaps most intriguing of all is what this theory implies about Tracy herself. If she has indeed been hiding Oscar, was it out of love, or control? Is she protecting him from harm, or using him as a weapon to punish Drew for crimes of the past? Has she grown emotionally attached to Oscar in a way that makes her unwilling to share him with anyone else? And if Oscar has been living in isolation all this time, does he even understand the full truth about why he was hidden, or has he been fed a version of events that now fuels his resentment toward his father? The possibilities are endless, and the emotional stakes couldn't be higher. As the clues begin to mount and Tracy's actions grow increasingly erratic, one thing is becoming clear to the show's dedicated audience: if Oscar is alive, his return won't be a heartwarming homecoming, it will be a reckoning. And Drew, for all his strength and resolve, may not be ready for the storm it brings. General Hospital is slowly but masterfully guiding this storyline to the razor's edge between the spiritual and the real, between sin and redemption. With each passing episode, the boundary between what is rational and what is mystical becomes increasingly blurred, leaving viewers wondering whether they are witnessing a psychological unraveling, or a supernatural reckoning. This is no longer just a family drama, it has become a tale of ancestral weight, buried guilt, and the cost of tampering with the dead. At the center of it all is Drew Cain, a man now caught in a terrifying limbo between illness and obsession, as he battles the physical agony of his resurfaced brain cancer. His mind simultaneously wages war against the haunting weight of his past. The loss of Oscar, the disconnection from his identity, the alienation from the Quartermain legacy, all of it is rising to the surface like a ghost refusing to be silenced. And now, with his body failing and the crypt disturbed, the pain feels deeper, more spiritual, almost as if he is being punished for a transgression he has only just begun to understand. Meanwhile, the Quatermain crypt, once a place of solemn memory, has become a symbol of mystery and fear. Each marble wall may conceal not just bodies, but secrets, fragments of lives unfinished, truths hidden, and legacies manipulated. As rumors of Oscar's survival, Tracy's secrecy, and Drew's spiritual defiance continue to swirl, viewers are left with a powerful question. Will the truth ultimately be revealed, or will it be buried once again, sealed within the cold stone of the Quatermain tomb, never to see the light of day? The atmosphere is thick with suspense. The past is clawing its way into the present. And as Drew lies weakened by both disease and doubt, the audience watches breathlessly, wondering whether this journey will end in revelation. Or in silence. One thing is certain, some secrets refuse to stay dead.